Stargate Voyager.
Well, I hope everybody had a very Merry Christmas, and I'm excited about this quick episode where I'm going to jump around and talk about a few different topics. We're going to start by talking about some giant discoveries from ancient Britain. Then we're going to dive into a Roswell witness who claims to have seen alien bodies back in 1947. Then we're going to talk a bit about Irish ancient technology, and then we'll end with a strange New York Times article I found from 1891 that speaks of a very strange discovery. Before we jump into these topics, just a quick reminder to subscribe to this podcast from wherever you are watching or listening, and please give me a 5-star review if possible. That helps me to break through the algorithms, climb the charts, and reach more people. And in case you didn't know, our 2025 Peru and/or Easter Island tour is coming this May. This will be a South American tour like no other. We're going to see all the top spots in the Cusco area, Machu Picchu, Sacsayhuaman, Ollantaytambo, and more. And then we have this optional package where we're going to go to Easter Island afterwards. So you can do the whole package and go to Peru with us for about 6 days and then Easter Island for about 5 days after that. Or you can just do one or the other. You can go just to Peru or just to Easter Island. And we still have a $500 discount for the Easter Island tour, which is code Stargate, all caps. Just click the link in the show notes below or go to stargatevoyager.com/tours for all the info. So Hugh Newman and Jim Vieira wrote a book called The Giants of Stonehenge in Ancient Britain. And in their book, they do a deep dive into the obscure newspaper accounts and archaeological reports and local history records relating to what seems like countless discoveries of large skeletons that were written about or found in ancient Britain. So here are a couple accounts from their book. 2 7-foot-tall skeletons were found in a burial with hazel dowsing rods, were unearthed at the base of Cadair Idris in Wales in 1685 by peat diggers. The mountain is the mythical home of Idris Gaur, or the giant Idris, who was one of 3 so-called holy astronomers of Britain and was also a renowned king who ruled in the 7th century. Legend has it that he was so large he could sit upon his mountaintop rock chair and survey his kingdom and the heavens. The peak of Cadair Idris is shaped like a huge seat made of its 3 peaks and is said to be endued with magical powers. Those who sat on it either went mad or had revelations concerning the occult teachings of the giants. Many megalithic sites were attributed to Idris all over Wales, many with notable names and legends connected to geomancy, surveying, giant lore, and astronomy. Okay, here's another account that states, in 1856, 2 skeletons were discovered on the south part of Lundy Island. One was 8 foot 5 inches and the other was 8 foot 7 inches. They were buried in stone-lined graves with several other average-sized skeletons. Lundy has been mentioned in historical literature for millennia, and the Romans were told the inhabitants were a specially holy race of men who refused to trade and had visions of the future. In old legends, rock-wielding giants who were masters of sorcery were said to be buried there. These giants of Great Britain were driven from bases in Cornwall and angrily hurled rocks back to the mainland. Okay, and here's one more account from Hugh Newman and Jim Vieira's book, and I'm going to link their book in the show notes. I own this book, and I strongly suggest that you get it too. Okay, so in the year of 1191, the monks of Glastonbury Abbey announced a major discovery claiming the skeleton of King Arthur had been found. Witnesses claimed it was 9 feet tall, and next to it was a female skeleton with a plait of blonde hair, said to be Guinevere. Heraldus Cambrensis, a respected historian, personally examined the bones and the grave about 4 years after the discovery and pronounced it to be a genuine find. In 1278, In the presence of King Edward I and Queen Eleanor, the remains were transferred into a marble sarcophagus with much pomp and ceremony and placed inside the abbey. So this account is called the Giant of Glastonbury Abbey. Now, if you're watching this by way of video, you're going to see an artist's rendition of this discovery, which shows monks kind of looking over into a pit where this giant 9-foot coffin or the skeleton was found in the coffin. But on either side of the hole where the coffin was found are like two ancient obelisks that were apparently standing with unusual inscriptions on them. So very interesting. And I actually got to see this site this summer when I was with Hugh in England, and just very interesting to consider. In talking with Hugh about this specific discovery, he totally believes on all the evidence he's uncovered. There was a 9-foot skeleton that was found in this spot. He believes that the monks and the abbey there kind of romanticized it and said it was King Arthur, which is a lot of pomp and circumstance. It probably likely wasn't Arthur, but they just said that to make their abbey more famous. But nonetheless, it was a major discovery that the whole town and the abbey and all these monks and villagers made a big deal of, where they literally transported this skeleton that they unearthed to a marble sarcophagus on the same property, just about 100 yards away. Now, when it comes to history, another topic that's always caught my attention is that of old UFO crash retrieval sites. Somehow I stumbled upon this article in The Sun. It's from 2022, and the title really grabbed me. It said, quote, "Horror site. 4 dead alien bodies were lifted with a crane and hauled away after Roswell UFO crash, retired cop claims." Now, I know that sounds really out of this world, but I've learned that sometimes there's a little bit of truth in something that can sound even outlandish. So let's dive into this article real quick. It says that in a bombshell interview, former Deputy Sheriff Charles H. Forgus of Howard County, Texas, told how he was traveling to Roswell to pick up a prisoner with Sheriff Jess Slaughter. Forgus claims he saw 4 alien bodies with big eyes and brownish colored skin being taken away by military personnel. Forgus stated, quote, "They wouldn't let us get very close to it either, so we headed up to get the prisoner in Roswell and back too. The UFO, already had crashed. They were taking them out. There were soldiers there, about 300 or 400 of them. They wouldn't let you get very close. They were keeping all the people away. People were coming out there," end quote. Now, he described the UFO as a, quote, "big round thing measuring about 100 feet and told how he saw the lights go out when it banged into the wall in the creek," adding, "It was like a mountain on the side of the creek." Now, speaking about the alleged alien bodies, he said, "I think I seen about 4 of them. Quote, I saw the legs and feet on some of them. They looked like our feet. We saw them haul them out of there, out of the canyon up to the trucks." He said, quote, "The bodies must have been 5 feet tall. Their eyes looked like the ones we see on television in the pictures of them. As much as I could tell, the skin was a brownish color like they were in the sun too long," end quote. He said he spent about 20 to 30 minutes looking at the scene, and military officials saw him looking but didn't say anything to me. Now, this Forgus guy was interviewed in 1999 by a Los Angeles private investigator named Dina Short. And Dina recorded the interview on video and later had a transcript done of the interview and completed her agency report to verify facts at the time related to Charles Forgus and Sheriff Jesse Slaughter. In 1999, Dina verified the background, including living relatives of both law enforcement individuals that existed at the time, and documented that in her agency intelligence report. He added, I guess Dina was a man. He added, "I am open-minded with regards to the veracity of what Charles Forgus has claimed." So a very interesting account from a deputy sheriff, Charles H. Forgus. And he had this other sheriff with him, Jess Slaughter, who corroborated the story. The private investigator that interviewed them in 1999 seems to think their claims are pretty valid, I guess. If you want to learn more about it, you can go back and search my YouTube or Spotify account, where I did a whole episode related to everything you want to know about Roswell from A to Z, as it remains to be one of the most infamous UFO stories or crash sites of all time. I was checking out Graham Hancock's website, grahamhancock.com, and he's got a tab on there where you can click articles, and there's all these great free articles. And that's where I found this article by Edward Durand, entitled Ancient Irish Technology. And I'll link this in the show notes as well. And so this is a huge article, but this one part I'm going to read, it's called The Irish Round Tower Star Map Mystery. And he writes, quote, "There are about 70 remaining round towers in Ireland. They are usually presumed to be from the Christian era. Many were said to have collapsed in the great earthquake of the 5th century that predates St. Patrick, who brought Roman Christianity to Ireland. They have been linked with Atlantis by Henry O'Brien. One account claims they were built on pre-existing ancient sites. The round towers have been found to have aspects which give them metaphysical properties. They were made from paramagnetic stones such as mica, schist, sandstone, or limestone. Paramagnetic stone resonates positively in a magnetic field and helps to energize its environment. The towers were believed to bring good energy into the soil to help crops grow. The towers look a bit like acupuncture needles or obelisks. Obelisks are rectangular, which is a male shape, and round towers are cylindrical, which is a female shape. However, both pyramids and cones, which they are capped by respectively, are said to generate a spin field from the apex. Most round towers have lost their original cap, just as many pyramids have lost their original capstone. Both round towers and pyramids have their entrances at a distance from the ground level. American professor Philip Callahan said the towers are radio antenna and amplifiers. Perhaps they are intended to combine the energies of heaven and earth as a bridge between worlds, energizing the soil to increase fertility. The level of the soil in the round towers is at a distance from the ground, presumably to tune it to a certain pitch like a musical instrument, just as bottles filled with water to different levels give off different notes when struck. Presumably, they were attuning the towers to a particular frequency. Callahan suggests that the towers collect energy from the sun. With their star map configuration, perhaps they channel energies from the stars as well. The layout of the round towers across the country matches up with the layout of constellations of stars in the sky as they appear at the winter solstice. This echoes the layout of the pyramids at Giza being arranged in the shape of the constellation Orion and the Glastonbury landscape of the zodiac. The round towers depict several constellations going around the country in a circle like a zodiac. The layout of the monuments to reflect the stars creates a mirror to the heavens, perhaps to create heaven on earth, as in the Hermetic axiom, as above, so below. So again, I'll link this article in the show notes. Check it out and enjoy Graham Hancock's free blog articles there. All right, so last but not least, I was doing a search through the digital New York Times archives, and I typed in giant skeletons. All these old articles pop up, but this one caught my attention, again from Sunday, July 5th, 1891. That's a long time ago. This was posted in the New York Times, and here was the title of the article, Mr. Jefferson's Cyclops. And the subheading reads, "A giant skeleton unearthed at Buzzards Bay." Okay, and I'll read directly from the article. Quote, Buzzards Bay, Massachusetts, July 4th. Joseph Jefferson, the actor, has made an astonishing find on the Summer Palace, which he has purchased here near that of ex-President Cleveland. In laying out the grounds and making alterations, it became necessary to remove a sandhill of a large size. The workmen, while doing this, found the skeleton of a man that filled them with astonishment from its great size. Let me pause real quick. It says they removed this sandhill. I wonder if that wasn't actually an ancient mound that the skeleton was buried in. Okay, I continue. Quote, when an attempt was made to lift up the skeleton, it crumbled away all except the skull. A workman lay down by the side of it, however, and it was estimated that it must have belonged to a man at least 6'5" or 6'6" in height. The most peculiar thing was brought to light, however, when the skull was taken to Mr. Jefferson and by him examined. It was like ordinary skulls, only larger, except that it had, as far as could be seen, no place where the eyes had been. There was one hole in the center of the forehead that might have once served for one eye. This led Mr. Jefferson to believe that he had perhaps discovered the skeleton of a cyclops. He said to Mr. Booth, who was paying him a visit, when he saw the wonderful skull, that he and his brother actor had a chance at hand to play Hamlet with a skull such as it had never been played with before. All the scientific gentlemen in the neighborhood have been unable to give an explanation of the skull, as were Mr. Jefferson and Mr. Booth. Mr. Jefferson will no doubt be glad to receive suggestions from men of science that may throw light on the matter. So, a very enigmatic article all the way back from 1891, published in the New York Times. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope that all of you have a very happy new year, and I'm really looking forward to 2025 and all that it's going to bring, all the discoveries, and I'm really looking forward to dissecting our prehistoric past with you on this podcast. So thank you so much for your support, and again, Happy New Year. Until next time, keep exploring.